Good morning, scholars. It's Friday. Made it through another week almost of distant learning. I sure do miss seeing you all every day. We're going to begin working on our lap book. I have had my hat all week. I just noticed and realized I've been using other things though, so I'm going to put my hat on so I'm ready to do my work. And then I'm going to take a look at my lap book. Before I begin though, I wanted to share one other interesting artifact I have with you, and that is this horn. This is a horn off of a cow or bull, not sure which one. Both of them can have horns. I've had this since I was probably your age. Just beginning to wear and tear. Now, they would have used horns as a battle call, maybe, to call. You see sometimes the pictures, they have a horn up to their mouth. This one is actually a horn that you can blow, but if I blow it, I get all the dogs in the area upset, so I'm not going to do that today. They would also use horns as a mug, something to drink on. They would plug the end, which was pointed, or leave the point on them. This one has had the point taken off. They would have a stand that they could sit in, and they would fill this up with their mead, whatever they were drinking. So it could be used as a drinking, as a cup, a mug, or as a horn to blow and contact other people. Now we know that they did not really wear these on their helmets, and I have even found for you information on that. Remember, I told you that that came into being in the 1800s, and in this book, it says Everything Vikings by National Geographic for Kids, is a little part on a myth right down here in this corner. So as I zoom in, we can see what that says. If you're a Viking warrior, do you really want to give your enemies something like a horn to grab onto? The idea of horned Viking helmets came from operas by German composer Richard Wagner in the late 19th century. In truth, warriors wore simple leather caps or domed metal helmets, if they were lucky. Later in the Viking Age, a strip of metal hung down over the face, protecting the nose as well. And here's a close-up picture of what one might look like. And then here is a picture of the silly lady in the opera wearing her horned helmet. Now that would look awesome on stage, so I'm thinking that's why that was added. And it says right here, 1870s, German composer Richard Wagner catapults Vikings into popular imagination with the ring cycle. 4 operas based on Norse mythology. You can look those up and listen to his music. Just look up Wagner, Norse mythology, or ring cycle. Costume designers dressed actors in horned helmets. We know that's not what they look like. But if you continue to look, we've continued to use that. The Minnesota Vikings have them on their head. There's even a cartoon strip, Hagar the Horrible, who has horns on his head, and Helga wears them on hers. A little bit of information on that myth, why we have it. Well, today in our lap book, we are going to add our timeline. So here's our timeline. We will not need crayons today. We'll just need a pencil to write with. We're going to fill in our Viking timeline. Now this timeline goes from the top to the bottom. I have an example of another timeline in this book about Vikings. It goes across from left to right. So you can have a timeline. We started one of these in school. Remember, we put it above our maps when we were talking about the buffalo and the timeline in that story. So here is the timeline. This one starts in 793 and goes to the year 1450. On our timeline, we're going to start at 793. We were only doing to 1000 AD. So our first thing we're going to do is to write. I'm not going to cut till I'm done writing. In case I get out of lines, I'll be able to cut around my writing. So you're not going to want to write too big. I apologize there are no lines. If you want to add some lines to write on, feel free to add your lines to your paper, but you do not have to. All right, so I'm going to move my horn, and I'm going to get my Viking lap book and open it up so I'll have a nice smooth surface to work on. I hope you're taking time to review your lap book daily. After you add a piece, share it with your mom or dad if they've had to go out and you've been working on this on your own, or Skype or FaceTime or Zoom grandma, grandpa, and share your Viking lap book with them and read to them. The Vikings are known for their shipbuilding, fighting, and sailing, and take time to read all of that information to them so it gets ingrained in your brain. Share with them what they're less known for: trading, farming, their ironwork. Share with them who were the Vikings: Scandinavians, Norsemen from the north, shipbuilders, farmers, raiders. They had many gods and goddesses. Read about Asgard and Odin and Thor. Share with them the map. Where is Scandinavia? North, above the Mediterranean Sea, is down here. It's north in Europe. And your compass rose. Share with them these great thoughts. Then you may also share with them your rune stones and how you wrote your name in runes also. So you could do that also. Then you can share with them Vikings were also known as barbarians, Northmen, Norsemen, and maybe you put another picture in there. And I have added my color to that. Today, I'm going to work on my timeline. So the very first thing I'm going to write is the top one. In the year 790 AD, what did the Vikings do? Well, the Vikings raid a monastery located in England. I have a little bit of information of that in this book also, so let me turn and read this to you. The English abbey falls on June 8th, 793. The ravages of heathen men miserably destroyed God's church on Lindisfarne with plunder and slaughter. They were not kind. It was not just a terrible attack on one of the richest and most famous monasteries in Europe, but was seen by Christians as a blow against their faith. They stole all the treasure from this abbey monastery in England and took it for themselves. So 793, but we have 790. If you want to change it to a 3, you may. So I'm going to start with Vikings. Now, I'm not writing huge. Got a couple of lines here. Viking raid. It's not quite a complete sentence. Viking raid on Lindisfarne. Capital L. It's a place. Proper noun. Lindisfarne. Lindisfarne in England. So I needed 3 lines. England is capital E. It's the name of a country. I don't have to put a period because these are notes. So in 790, Viking raid on Lindisfarne in England. Now if you need to pause the video so that you can do what you need to do. Let's go to 860. In 860 AD, 70 years later, the settlement of Iceland began. So I'm just going to write the settle. We talked about settlers, people who settle in a place. They have a settlement. back when we were doing the buffalo also. The settlement of Iceland. Begins. Now if you have to pause to write, I'm just going to fill it in, and then you guys can catch up, pause it, write. We're going to cut and glue. In 941, so 81 years later, the Rus, and the Rus are the ones who went through Russia. Rus raids on Constantinople. It's a city name, so it's a capital. C-O-N-S-T-A-N. Constantinople. Constantinople. 5 syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Constantinople. Yep. 5 syllables. 5 vowels. Move to 986, 45 years later, and we have Eric the Red. So I'm going to write Eric, it's his name. Eric the Red settles, there's that word again. They go place and they begin to live there. Settles in Greenland, capital G-R-E-E-N, green, and land. So, got all of this written. Remember, if you have to pause it to write it, pause it to write it. That's the beauty of this type of learning, is you can stop and take as much time as you like. Then we move to 1000, which is 14 years later, Leif Erikson. Leif, capital L, is his name. Eric, son of Eric, leads the exploration, big long word, of North, it's going to have a capital N, it's a place, North America, capital A, and that would be when he went to Vinland or Vineland in Labrador, Canada. Leif Erikson, son of Leif. If they were a daughter, it would be Erik daughter, gotta look that up, I forget how to say that. Daughter of Leif. So I've got it written. Remember, if you have to stop, pause it. You're going to cut it out. Anyway, I cut this out, and then I'm going to glue it in right next to my map. You can handle that on your own. Remember, pause and write. Remember to review. Till next time, go forth, do great works. Farvel.